Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Deep and Meaningful podcast. It's not always going to be meaningful, but it's going to be deep. Is
that the official tagline?
That's the official tagline. I've been trying a few things out. I think I've landed there.
Rolls off the tongue nicely.
Yeah. It's not always going to be meaningful. Wait.
No.
It's not always going to be deep, but it's going to be meaningful. You can do it both ways. It's going to be one or the other, at least.
Yeah.
But the one, you're like, oh. The not always going to be meaningful, but it's going to be deep. Has a little bit of like a, okay.
Yeah, for a podcast. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, usually on this podcast, I just talk about whatever comes to mind. And naturally it goes deep because that's my brain.
Exactly.
So yeah, tell me about the book you just got. Have you gotten into it yet? Have you read it yet? A little bit?
So I'm just probably 10 pages in. Got it 2 days ago. I actually brought it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we read it in Kindle. This book.
We did?
Remember? Oh, well, I read it out loud. We used to just read out loud to one another.
That's what I did to my mom.
Yeah. This is Ram Dass.
Oh, yes, because you said it was very different when you had the physical copy because of the stuff in it and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And there's a cookbook behind
oh, right.
Cookbook, yoga positions.
Yeah, he's got it all.
Yeah.
Cookbook first. Is burrito bowl in here? Because it should be.
I am not sure. To be honest, when it comes to that book, for the audience, we're talking about Be Here Now by Ram Dass.
Should I hold it up?
Hold it up to
Where's
the camera. The second half of that book I never really got into, to be honest. It was cool. I read it a little bit, but the memorable parts at the beginning and then the thick of the middle of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you got into the middle part, so there's psychedelic images. I haven't really taken a really good look at it.
Yeah.
Is it super Buddhism type of images, or is it psychedelic kind of? I want to take each page and really look into it and what do I take from it?
Yeah. Well, the impression I get is he was talking about one of his teachers in India, how he used to just write on a chalkboard a couple words or just a sentence or something, and then he would have to go within himself and find the answer to whatever that was. So could you pass me that book, for example? You could read the middle of this book pretty much for the rest of your life, because it's kind of man, I'm trying to think of an analogy. Your brain just kind of puts two and two together. Mm-hmm. He gives you the pieces, and then you're the one who kind of figures out what the meaning of it is.
Yeah.
Which is so cool. And that's my favorite thing about music. If you listen to lyrics from someone who's, a really great lyricist, they say so little, but it means so much.
Mm-hmm.
There's you look at the lyrics of a song, and it's not a lot of words, but it's intense. And you can listen to it over and over and have a new meaning with the words or whatever. And poems are like that too, and stuff like that. Yeah.
I think that's just the key to good writing and good teaching is each word is so purposeful, so I don't know, it's not they read a thesaurus and chose each word with the perfect connotation for each moment.
Yeah.
I love stuff like that. That's why was this book originally written in English, or was it written?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I feel that's one of the issues reading a book that was translated, how well you can kind of grasp those more difficult concepts with is that word the right word that should have been used, or some analogies don't translate, or some certain sayings. So that's good it was written in English, because I don't know, those dense books, I feel you miss out on a lot. That's how I feel about the Bible too, or stuff like that.
Especially since you're reading some old English too. It's in English, but it's
it's not English that we can understand
it's
now.
So weird.
It's Shakespearean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You read it and it's wow, I don't even understand this. Or there's little parts that you're I think I understand.
Yeah. Yeah. Weird, man. Cool story though. Do you,
It makes me want to like, all right, well, I'm moving to India. Like, bye, guys. Have all my shoes. That's it. You're like, sorry, boyfriend. Love you. But I got some Buddhism I got to go learn.
I've always thought of that. Like, is that my destiny? Is my destiny to give everything up and go and be a monk? Shave my head.
Well, it was so funny because I was doing the dishes the day before I got this book. Not even a day, probably like a few hours before. And I was like, you know what? Like, what if my destiny is to just, stop trying to be the leader of myself and like be like an assistant to somebody and just kind of like swear my life to somebody. And then he was talking about how he thought about doing that at one point. And he was going to be a chauffeur to somebody famous or whatever.
Who, Ramdas?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. That's
yeah,
funny.
he was going to be a chauffeur.
Dude.
He was going to go from, what school did he teach at? Not Yale, Harvard.
Was it Harvard?
Yeah, it was Harvard.
Definitely one of those impressive ones.
Yeah, and he was like the top teacher of like, what is it?
Wasn't he a professor of psychology?
Yeah, he was like the head of psychology there.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, at Harvard.
That's a big deal.
He basically lost his job, and then he was like, well, I guess I'll just become a chauffeur and swear my life to somebody.
Dude, at some point though, like, it's weird. I just noticed that you, like, when you said that, like, I shouldn't be leading my life. Like, everybody is like constantly in charge of their life, and it's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah,
I would be down to be a chauffeur, because then it's like whatever. I don't really
especially
matter.
in your 20s. It's just like so many. Maybe it doesn't change, and I'm just like destined for this the rest of my life. But there's just like so many decisions. Like, what am I gonna do with my life? What am I gonna do like day to day? And my friend just became a personal assistant, and I'm like, that sounds sick.
I would love that.
Planning someone. I know. I've always wanted to kind of be a personal assistant.
Well, like, I always think, and I'm like, I would love to go back into like Victorian era and be somebody's, like, I hate to say it, but I'd love to be someone's maid, or like somebody that's like, you know what, honey, there's
so
literally
funny.
I have your pillow fluffed, your blankets have been washed, everything is done for
Your tea
you.
is
Come
on
home.
the way up.
I have
Like-
sat in your chair for the last 6 hours so you could come home so it'd be warm.
Yeah.
Like, but that just sounds fun to me, you know?
No, like watching Downton Abbey and stuff, I'm like, that could be me. I
Yeah,
could be the best maid.
literally. And it's like, some
Ladies'
people are
maid.
like, I want to be famous. And I'm like, I mean, yeah, that'd be great. But like, I just want to, I hate to say it, like take care of somebody, but not like my child, you know? Like when I leave, that I'm clocked out for the day. But when I come in,
yeah, there's no like heavy responsibility there.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's something about that, like, less self-importance is kind of more freeing.
Exactly.
People make themselves so important, and it's just stressful, and, you know.
It also just seems so much easier to like make someone else's life easier than to make your own life easier.
Very
like, it
true.
just seems like so much less daunting to like make someone else's schedule and make their
Yeah.
appointments and make their bed than it does to like do that for yourself.
Well, it's funny because it's like, I could make someone else's bed, no problem. But to get up and make my own bed, I'm like, I don't want to do that. Do I even care? Like, I'm going to mess it up again. But it's like, oh, goddamn, I'll clean your bed. Like, I'll make it all beautiful for you.
There's something like that with dishes, too. When I'm a guest in someone's home, I'm like, I'll do the dishes.
Yeah,
I don't know, but it's like the novelty of, like, plates that aren't mine. I don't
exactly.
know. I don't know what
You
it
haven't
is,
washed that plate 20 times before.
but- Yeah, maybe that's what it is. too.
Yeah,
Like,
you haven't looked at those same cracks.
I'm getting there, bro, where I just, like, I go to the same kitchen and I cook the same meal and I wash the same dishes.
Becoming an old man,
Yeah.
set in your ways.
I gotta change things up, man. I'm in
I
too
think
much of a groove.
Yeah.
I think you need to start making something other than pad thai.
I think so too.
I think that's your main groove that you need to.
Maybe I'll
need
get
to
into
create.
barbecue.
Oh,
it's
no.
time.
Have you heard the barbecue thing?
No. what's
So, in a certain time in a man's life, he either learns World War II or he gets into barbecuing.
that? Is that true?
That is true.
Oh no.
Those are the only two options.
Yeah. Well, it's like
Oh.
either I could tell you so much about World War II, or be like, I could smoke you a nice rib.
Yeah.
Or,
but
like-
it's funny, like a vegan barbecuer. Like it's like you. It's not as like the macho, like, I'm gonna smoke this brisket for like 8 hours. It's gonna be like, gonna grill up some veg.
I'm gonna wrap vegetables in tinfoil and light it on. Yeah,
Yeah, and put it on fire.
pretty much. That's kind of it.
Yeah, it's a different vibe, a vegan barbecuer compared to like my dad.
Maybe my life is too simple because, like, with meat, you have to think about temperature and different spices that go with it, and barbecue sauces, and for me, it's like oil, salt, pepper.
And spicy. You like spicy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know, but that's literally like, at the end of the day, it's just like oil, salt, sugar, pepper, and different spices, and that's kind of it.
My brain's like, and then you start growing your own like spices. You dry them.
Yeah.
You start like.
I want to
that'd be cool.
I'm gonna try and make my own hot sauce. We got hot
That'd be
peppers
cool.
going.
Yeah, we have to actually do that this summer. Because we just like ate all that. Well, you ate all the hot peppers
I did.
throughout the year. And
I
we just
did.
never
That's fine.
made it.
Yeah.
One day I wanna grow like a tea garden and like grow
Oh, that would
all
be
the
cool.
stuff for it and then dry it.
I knew somebody who did that.
I know.
The
And
pandemic hit, and she like dropped care packages to people's houses.
It's like
Sweetest
literally
thing
the-
in the world. But she gave us tea and
she's a fairy.
vegetables and
Like that's what a fairy would do. Like
See-
have a tea garden.
I love
True.
that.
She's
Like I don't know.
yeah, and that that to me reminds me of what we were just talking about, like serving others and such.
Just sounds
Yeah,
so
like-
much like the simple life.
Well, the reason why I thought about that is because Ram Dass, or Richard at that point in the book,
Richard, sorry.
I love it.
There's this book by Richard.
Richard.
Professor Richard.
Yeah. And I look at the image and I'm like, yeah, you're a Richard. But so basically he goes into India and he meets this monk. I'm not exactly sure how he meets him yet because I'm not that far in the
Are you
book.
talking about like the guru or the?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. He like ran into an American there,
Yeah.
and he started following the only American he saw, which was like some American hippie or whatever. And the American hippie introduced him to this guru guy. I read it twice. That's why I remember it all.
Yeah. And he's like, it's so funny that he wanted to like swear himself to somebody, and then he meets this guru. And then it's basically like, this person tells you how to live your life, or like to not talk for the next 2 months or stuff like that.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be
I
great.
can do it.
Part of me wants to really get involved in a religion because that's another example of like, I'm not important, this religion is important, and then you could you have like a guidance that is bigger than you. Because if you don't have some sort of structure like that, whether it be like a spiritual structure or religious structure, then yeah, you make yourself too important, and then your life is like egoic and fucking stressful
True.
and like devoid of meaning, like real meaning. Because at the end of every like ego-filled day, you're like, well, I'm empty. Like, oh, it might have felt good at the time, but yeah, I'm completely empty and I have no meaning in my life, you know?
Yeah, there's something like comforting about being deeply involved in religion.
Faith, man.
Yeah, no, your life is kind of, I don't know, not like set out for you, but you have like a direction at the very least. And then you have like a group of people that you know are going to be on board with what you're doing
And you're
will
also,
support you.
you're also almost told, I don't know, like, my only context is Catholicism and Christianity, but it's like, you're also told that if you have any open-ended questions about your faith, just give it up. Like, you don't
You
have
surrender.
Interesting.
You don't-
Yeah, the Christian term is you surrender.
surrender. Yeah. So like,
Yeah.
if you have any questions that like you can't sleep at night because you're like, oh, but why? Just give it up. And that's, you're put at ease. It's beautiful. Without, that Christian context, you're just constantly questioning.
Oh.
And yeah,
Got it? Yeah. Just don't burn your hand on the mug.
there's this term called Sangha, and that's like a spiritual gathering. Sounds culty.
It does.
Isn't that the problem? If it's not a religion, it's a cult.
Yeah.
There's no in between.
Gathering of a group of people.
But sometimes, like, what is the actual definition of a cult? And why do we always see it as bad?
It depends on, because it used to be like, in like Greek and Roman times, that was just like, each like god or goddess would have their own cult, but it doesn't have like the same connotations as it does now. It's like it was just a group of followers who like did those practices, and like that was their, I don't know.
Yeah, the new connotation or definition is like charismatic leader.
Yeah, charismatic leader.
Like total, not obedience, but like you're following this guy and
normally
and
has like some sort of monetary situation where like
possibly
group savings.
Like that. What is it called? Commune.
Yeah,
that
commune vibes.
It's usually like everybody lives together and everybody shares the same values, and it sounds pretty, but it's almost like the idea of like socialism, where it's like, oh, that's utopia, like that'd be so great. But when you have a leader of anything, when you have anybody where the power is just directed towards one person, it gets bad.
Especially when money gets involved. Like that's when things just kind of go to shit. I think money and sex, I think that's when cults kind of go downhill. Like I'm sure a lot of them start off great, but then it's like, you know, something just happens.
I think the best way to learn that is Animal Farm by George Orwell.
I still haven't read that yet.
No?
I loved 1984, and then I'm like, oh, I'm going to read Animal
You
Farm.
loved it? I mean, now I love it, but I don't want to read it again.
Yeah, true.
I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't want to go through that again.
Dude,
it was a lot.
He covers everything. Like, just when you think you could be any less free, he's like,
It's like another one.
oh
Yeah.
god, dude,
It's
there's
hard reading
nowhere
it
to
now.
turn.
It's hard reading it now too, because like you see like hints of it happening in the world, and it's like, oh no, my head's gonna get put in a rat cage.
Have you guys seen the baby like trackers? And it's like not baby tracker, but like toddler trackers. It's like Apple. It's an Apple product, and it's like you put it on your baby's ankle, and they go play at the park, and it literally shows you where your kid is on your phone. So you don't even have to watch your kid. You just watch your phone. And it has an arrow of where it is.
Oh my god.
And I'm like,
ew.
yeah.
It's so fascinating to me that like I feel like parents especially have never been more afraid of like what's going to happen to their kid. But like they've literally never been safer. And I mean, obviously parents are always going to be stressed about like where their kids are. Absolutely. That's a normal parental like reflex, I guess. But like they've literally never been safer. And then when you think about like the 70s, like
Well, I was just thinking about Woodstock too.
Yeah.
We were watching the Woodstock movie, and there's just a bunch of babies there, toddlers and
Yeah.
literal like 2-month-old
God.
babies just at Woodstock,
Oh my God.
just naked running around with their parents,
Shitting on
with
the
their hippie
ground.
parents. They're just shitting on the ground.
Yeah. Probably never worn clothes. In
Wait,
their life.
Woodstock like close to here?
No, Woodstock, the festival, the music festival in 1969.
Oh.
Yeah,
No,
like the
no.
hippie festival.
Woodstock, Ontario wishes it was that cool.
Yeah,
I
true.
was like, God damn, I'm gonna move over there. Join some hippies. I would do it 100%. I'd be like, yeah, I'll just grow vegetables. I'll go in, like join a community, and that's what I'll do.
I do think that like family is important. I do like the fact that nowadays it's more accepting to get involved in like your friends' lives, like their family, which is cool. And it's always been like that, the family friend and whatever. But I think it's way too individualistic. Like I'm weirded out by the idea of like living alone and like paving my own path, because I don't even care about my own path. Like I like people. I don't know. It depends on who you are, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
No, it's definitely a new thing that like, oh, you're like 21 and you still live with your parents. Like that's only become weird very recently. Like it used to be you live at home until you get married, and then that's when you move out, or like maybe you go to university. Like when I was in Vietnam, like none of the single women that I met lived on their own. Like they all lived with their parents. The only people I knew who didn't live with their parents, and even some of them who did, they were all married.
what about like single men? Did they?
Single men? I mostly just talked to women there,
Oh, you
so I
didn't
don't really
talk to a
know.
lot of guys.
I did, but I never like... No, actually, all the men that I met, other than like university students, were married.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Slim pickings for
Mm-hmm.
the ladies.
I know, it was rough out there for me when I was trying to come home with a Vietnamese husband.
Darn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting too that obviously I've heard a lot of people talk about this all the time, but just the fact that we stick the old people in homes and how normal that is versus like just living
Everywhere
with
else
your
in the world.
parents.
Yeah.
When you're in your 40s or whatever, your folks move in with you or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That seems more normal to me. But I guess you need a big house.
Yeah, natural, I'd say.
Yeah, you need the place for it.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a good
I
point.
could not live in this house with my parents.
Oh my god, dude, what would we do?
They could live upstairs.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Now, how were your parents? Like, describe, like, what type of parenting styles they had.
You know what? They were like, I respect the heck out of how they raised me. But also, there's no parent is perfect.
Oh,
You'll
yeah.
never get it right.
Oh, yeah.
But I will say that I was, I was constantly surrounded by people. I was never really left alone. If I wanted to be alone, I was allowed to be alone. But like, they would always encourage me to go and hang out with people, and they would invite people over, and we would go places, and because they're very social people while we were growing up. And yeah, and it was funny too, because I was able to see like two completely different perspectives, where maybe one parent would have this opinion and the other parent would have the other, and then me as a child, I'm like, I get to kind of see both sides of anything and be like, what does this mean to me? And I think that's probably why I was able to become the person I am, because a lot of people, they either get like abusive parents or too perfect of parents.
Yeah.
And I was able to learn from some of the mistakes of my parents, and even my older brother, I was able to learn from his mistakes, and I made my own fair share of mistakes, that's for sure. But
if you don't make mistakes, you're not living 100%.
no, you're not going to develop.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to like the person you are, really. You're going to be underdone almost.
Underdone. Underdone adult.
Go cook more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, though? You moved out at a very young age, and was that like conflict with the family? Is that what that was?
I do see a little bit of conflict with it. So basically, lived with my mom, and she went through a really bad divorce, and basically she shut down. So like I don't know what happened, but basically like paranoia, like crazy amounts, like to the point where like we would put shoes by the door because she thought like her husband was coming into our house.
Yeah.
And so like if the door was to be open, the shoe would be moved.
Oh.
Or she had like these password books, and they were just like iTunes passwords and stuff like that. And she always thought that he was getting her book, but she was always just like losing it. And so like she would change her passwords to everything, and then basically make a new book, and then or like forget a password, and then it'd be like the whole house would be on lockdown because she would think that he got her book.
Okay. Was her ex-husband your father, or was this?
No, he was
someone
my
else?
stepdad.
Okay.
Found out a lot of crazy stuff about the house. I don't know how much you want me to get into it. I have no problem talking about it.
It's up to you. Like, this podcast, there's
Yeah.
no limits. It's totally up to you.
So basically, my mom was like, yeah, like, we had kind of like not really an open relationship, but your stepdad was bi. And so I wanted him to feel fulfilled in his life. So he would have people come over when you were sleeping.
Oh my God.
And so she'd be at work, and he would have random people from Craigslist and like places like that come over.
Oh.
And I always thought that there was something up because I was never allowed downstairs at night. If he would hear like creaks on the stairs, he'd come up and just start screaming at me.
Yeah.
And so I just thought that I'd wake him up. So I was always terrified to go downstairs. I'd have like hidden food in my room, or like Tylenol if I had a headache, or all of that kind of stuff.
Made you your own little haven in your room. So you wouldn't have to-
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. And so she told me all of this stuff after they were getting a divorce. She went from like 160 pounds to 72. That's as low as she got.
Oh,
She
boy.
was just skin and bones.
Yeah, just withering away.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
She would just stare at a wall. So like I was working at McDonald's at this time, and like when I was home, she'd be staring at the wall, and I'd have to like read to her. That was the only thing that actually like get her out of her head. And so I'd read to her to the point where like I couldn't talk anymore. And then we were sleeping in the living room because she didn't like to be alone. And then basically we got our own apartment. Like, so like we moved away from the house. She sold the house, and he got all the money for it. And so we were just kind of like, we moved out, found our own place. She started doing really well. And then she started hiding stuff from me. And, like, her and I were super close. And so, like, I knew when she started being sneaky. She was the type of parent that, like, the iPhone, like, Find My iPhone, we both had it. So, like, she was always afraid of me getting kidnapped and stuff. And so it goes both ways. So she would know where my location is and I'd know where hers is. And she would start turning it off. And I was like, okay. And I sat her down one day and I was like, what's up? Are you talking to him again? And she was like, yep, we're back together. And yeah, it was, this was my first ego's death because I lost it. I walked over to my friend's house and I just like collapsed on like the sidewalk and just like cried. But like, you know, like when, I don't know if you guys have ever had an ego's death at all, but it's like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I wasn't on anything. But like there was like this little ball of light that was like, in an image, it was like all of this darkness and then this little glimpse of light that was like, and it said, you built your pillars off of salt and sand, but we will not do this again. We will rebuild stronger. Mm-hmm. And after that, I stopped talking to my mom and I moved to my dad's. Living with my dad, I'd like to say he's the perfect Peter Pan story. The man who didn't want to grow up.
Yeah.
So my grandparents take care of him financially. He was like, living with him as a kid, I just remember the house was disgusting and I would use my Barbie dolls' heads to clean the house. Like I'd wash the bathtub, I'd wash the toilet with their hair.
Whoa.
Yeah. And so living with him again was odd because it was like, okay, this is a lot of childhood trauma, but like this is my only option.
Yeah.
Things were really good. He helped me out a lot. But then as I started to kind of get better, he started to get worse, and I started finding myself taking care of him again. To the point where like he would accidentally call me mom. Yeah.
All right.
And so
Doesn't get any clearer than that.
yeah. And so I really started distancing myself with him because I was like, I didn't know. Like, I was 16 at this time.
Yeah.
So, like, I was like, I don't know what's wrong, but for some reason, being near him, I don't like it. Mm-hmm. He was also hanging out with a lot of people that I knew for sure that they were on fentanyl. And they would come in, and he would never lock the doors. Oof. And that's, like, his policy with his friends, is the door's never locked. You can come in. And then one day, he's like, hey, Ericka, don't worry about it. This is like a month ago, but blah, blah, blah said he wanted to do stuff to you. But don't worry about it. This was a while ago. And this man's been in our house, and I've been alone with him multiple times.
And you're like 16. Like,
yeah, and this man's probably like 43.
That's rough. Is this a drug guy?
Oh, 100%.
Oh my god.
100%.
Oh my god.
Another time my friend was over and one of my dad's best friends goes, I'll change your name. Hey, Brittany, don't let anybody ever tell you you're not really hot. And she was 17 and he was, yeah, like 35.
So weird. Like,
yeah.
Oh my god.
That's not inspiring. Like, don't let anybody ever tell you.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's rough. So
And
what happened after? Like, what was the tipping point for you? Was there a moment?
Yeah, there was basically, I was paying her bills there, and I was hanging with friends, and one day my dad goes, we haven't spent time together in a while. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm sorry about that. Like, it is what it is. He's like, I allow you to go hang out with them, right? And I was like, okay, but I pay our bills, and I take care of us, and I'm pretty sure I'm allowed to go hang out with my friends. And he was like, no, you ask me. After that, I stayed at my boyfriend's house for a week, and I had an apartment within 3 days after that. Like, it was like a week, and then I had an apartment.
So you grew up way too fast.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, as a kid, my dad, like, I was just recently told this, but I knew it. I nursed my dad off of opiates when I was probably like from 3 to like 7. And I didn't know it. I just knew dad was always sick.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That's
oh my god.
terrible. Jeez.
But like, people are always like, oh, that's so hard and all that stuff. Or like, I don't know. to me, that was my life, you know? And like 100% would not change it.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I agree. I get exactly what you mean. Some things could be so hard and difficult and traumatic and unfair, but if you can use that, it's like a great gift almost. in a
well, I want to
weird
go
way.
for therapy and like learn psychology a lot. And so it's like, in order to be a great therapist, you need to have a certain level of emotional understanding, because you're going to have some patients who have gone through some terrible stuff. And like, I've had counselors that you can tell that they've been, I don't want to say privileged, but like mommy and daddy put them through school, you know?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
they'd be like, "Oh, that's terrible." And then they'd be like, "Well, how about you read this book?" It's like, no, I'm not gonna. I hate to say it, but that's not gonna help. I don't have that
Yeah.
time.
And you have to, I feel like you have to have a certain, you can't be biased. You can't have any bias. You have to realize that when you hear somebody's problems as a psychologist or a therapist or whatever, that you're going to make up your own ideas about what it means, you know? And yeah, that would just be the toughest job in the world, because you
know.
have to be completely out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise you'd like drive yourself crazy.
Um,
Like, I don't know. At least me, like,
I just feel like you
listening
wouldn't be able
all
to
that-
solve the problem. You wouldn't even be able to assess the problem, because
yeah.
because you have your own mind with its own ideas that
Yeah.
you have to reconcile with as you're hearing it, especially if whoever you're like helping has gone through some horrifying shit. If that's traumatic to you to even hear it, then you need to figure that out before you can ever help.
Yeah, you can't like bring
Yeah.
that in to the room with them. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Good for you for wanting to do that. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
That's,
It's you're like making your experience like a beautiful thing. It's not like, I don't know. I'm always amazed by people who like deal with like, I don't know, like about the generational issues in your family, but it sounds like stuff that's like been carried along for a long time.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, and it's really beautiful to like watch people like, no, it stops with me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna like make my story like a beautiful thing. It's not gonna like be this sob story that like ends with, oh, and she could have done great things, you know? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, you are. That's awesome.
I hate to say it, but like, it's kind of in my head, there's an invisible audience. Does that make sense?
You're like proving it to them, like that you can do
No,
it?
that
what do you mean?
like, I don't know. There's an invisible audience, and I don't know, like when I pass away, I'll be able to like actually step back and like watch it, or like as if my life is like some sort of movie. But it's like, I got people watching me up there. I got people up there that are like, oh, damn it, she didn't go left.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
like I can't let them down. I don't know who it is, what they are, but they're there.
Yeah.
I definitely think I have spirit guides kind of, they're following me 100%.
That's cool.
Yeah, I took acid in my apartment once.
It's the start to every good story.
Yeah, every great story.
Oh my God.
Took acid in my apartment once, and I just felt like that exact thing, like a audience of an infinite number of interdimensional beings just checking me out. And like inside and out, they knew everything. They could feel everything. They could see everything. They know my perspective, and they know what I don't see. And it's just like, yeah, it's a freaking weird feeling, man.
Sounds like the Truman Show.
How many times have you had acid?
I think like 4 or 5. I've done mushrooms dozens of times.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was it was a good summer. But yeah, acid is just too much. It's like a really long trip, way too much for me. And also, I think I don't know, you get to a point where it's just not fun anymore. Like if you trip enough times, you're like I could look at the most gorgeous visuals like God has ever created, like the fucking trees are breathing and just the colors are vibrant, and I could see it all, and it's just unfolding before me. And I'll look at it and be like, oh, I kind of would rather be sober right now. Like I've seen it enough time. I don't know what it is, but it's not like I don't know. It's so hard to put into words.
No,
I think I
completely
got what I
understand.
needed from psychedelic drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's transformed me a lot. It's like steered me into a direction, but it's not something that I think I like need.
I had acid once, and after the 8-hour mark, I was like, wow, I hope I get sober soon. And then 24 hours, I was like, I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
I wasn't hungry. I was like, oh my God, I think I'm done now. Like, I'm past the point I think I'm done. Like, let me sleep.
Yeah, I've had that where you're just high for just an inconceivable amount of time, and you're just kind of left with yourself. And yeah, it's like, I'd rather be sober than do anything else right now. Anything. Like, could be like doing like my favorite thing, eating my favorite food or whatever. It's like, no, just let me be sober. Just let me be grounded.
Do you ever have the fear of, like, what if this is life now?
I've never had that, but I did have, like, where you take the drug and you see life from a certain angle, and that angle is, you know, every internal bias you have from your past, and you start to look at other people's lives and you see it in that light. And for me, it was very dark. I just saw, like, I was like, oh, this is hell on earth. This is terrible. I was like, this reality is just like torture. Like, why, who fucking created this, and why do we have to go through this? This is awful. And it was like that for like 5 hours until I went fucking crazy, and I was like, I can't go on like this. And I was like, when I get sober, my number one priority will be to see life as worth living, because I just spent the last 5 hours thinking, wow, life is way less than worth living. Life is terrible. Like, I don't want to be here. I don't want anybody else to be here either. It sucks. This is awful. So yeah, I got sober, and that was my 100% priority in life. Like, let's figure out a way to see life as worth living. And then that's when I started meditating. And
okay.
that was May 2020. So it's been a couple years now. And yeah, life is worth living. So we did it.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Still living.
Oh man. It's so weird, because even in that moment I was like, how on earth is this going to be useful? Like, everybody says, oh, bad trips are good for you. You'll come out stronger. You'll learn something. You'll blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, what? It's so strange how, like, you can completely be locked into a perspective. And even if you wanted to pretend like you knew what was going on in the bigger picture of things, you just couldn't until you got sober, until the 24-hour trip was over. So yeah, it was crazy, man. Rock bottom is important. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
In my experience, rock bottom is important, because I feel like so many people are just comfortably coasting through life, numbing their pain, and never actually hitting the bottom that they're supposed to hit. Like, you're supposed to fucking confront it and be completely powerless and just hopeless in that time. I don't know. It's like I feel like that's a really important thing. But I'm no expert. That's just in my experience.
Rock bottom is like a make or break situation. It's like, how are you going to get out? And it's like, you to stay there. And a lot of people do. Like, a lot of people, they're like, this is the best it's going to get. I've been here for the last 2 years. And then they're like, somehow they find an even worse rock bottom.
Yeah. Instead of using it as like to propel them up, it's like, oh, life can get better. It's like, no, we're going to go deeper. We're going to get worse. Yeah.
And that's like, my parents, they're the type of people that's like, this is the best it's going to get. Just get used to it. And then it got worse. And they're like, well, this is the best it's going to get. Me, I'm like, no, it's going to get better. I'm going to have to, and not that life's just going to hand me the better. It's not like I'm just going to manifest it. It's like, no, I have to actually work and grind for it, because it's not just going to show up on my doorstep. And I mean, sometimes it does. But for the most part,
sacrifices
you have to
need
earn
to be
it.
made.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like, you can't be doing the same shit or
And
hanging with
expecting
the
a
same
different
people
result.
or whatever it is. Yeah, that's insanity. So yeah. Oh man, I had a thought, but I just completely lost it, man. Oof, it's gone.
I think the most hardest thing for me to do, and I think I'm learning it. Oh, I definitely have learned it. Is saying goodbye to people that, like, I hate to say it, but don't benefit you. You know, that don't, like, not that they're just the people that are like, oh, like come to drinking every night. And I find that a lot of my friends were like that, where it's like, no, like I have to. My friends are still at home. One of them had an apartment by herself too, and it was like, oh, come out drinking, come to River Rock, all of this stuff. And it's like, no, like I have a full-time job that I have to. I got bills to pay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems. I find that people like that, it's hard to imagine them like outside of being like 21. Mm-hmm. It's like, what are you gonna be like as like a full-fledged adult? Like what? Like when is this gonna stop? Mm-hmm. Where are you headed with this? Like what's it leading to? Yeah, no, I get what you mean. Where it's like you see what they're doing with their life, and it's like, I don't want any part of it anymore. Yeah, you're not like benefiting. You're not like necessarily actively making it worse, but you're not like leading me in a way that like I want to go. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, for me, it was like, I feel like I'm behind. Like, I'm only 19, but like, even when I was younger, I'd look at people my age and I'd be like, I'm behind. And I mean, I think it was because at a young age.
What do you mean behind?
So behind is in like, I want to be more successful than I am right now. You know, like, and now I look at other 19-year-olds and I've seen that I've overpassed them. A lot of them. I mean, a lot of them are like university already, but I think it started when I was younger. It was kind of like my parents didn't prioritize like school or anything. Like it was like my dad, I'd stay home and take care of him all the time. And so I was really behind in reading, really behind in math, all that kind of stuff. Plus I had a lot of surgeries when I was younger. And so I was so behind. And then in order to catch up, I had to do double time compared to all the other students.
Yeah, and when it happens when you're young, it's so hard to make up for it. Like later on, it carries on all the way through school. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What a weird concept. Like, there's like you're always behind, technically, always. I just love. I love like getting to that point where you kind of give up on all that, and then you realize, oh wow, I'm ahead. Like that is what being ahead is.
I find myself sometimes I'm like, I give up on it, and then there's like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like this burning ball that's like, no, you must do more. You must continue that path that may lead nowhere. You know, like that. You gotta be better. You gotta do more. It's ego. That's really what it is.
And it's also just like Western conditioning. Like hustle culture, man, is real. And I don't know what it's like from the female perspective. It's got to be a even more of a conflict almost. Because with guys, it's like to be a man is to accomplish, period. But like when it comes to being a girl, especially in this culture, it's like you're kind of supposed to be like a both.
Yeah,
Like
you're supposed to accomplish,
everything?
but like be effortlessly hot while you do it. That's like, that's the key to female success in today's culture.
Yeah,
because
true.
there's like the grind culture with like I don't know, you work out all the time and you like have your great job that like you're moving up the corporate ladder, but then you also take time for self-care. So it's like you have like this 10-step skincare routine and like you do like aerobics and all this shit. It's like you kind of have to do both, but then also make it look easy and not complain about it.
And be a mother.
True.
Yeah.
And you know, like all that.
Yeah.
Like it's
and not let your parenting ever be weak, and not let your like not take your eye off the prize of like getting that promotion at the same time. It's like you got to do both.
But also like, raise the perfect child. Yeah.
It's a lot, dude. The world is it's like so big. The internet has just expanded things where it's like I am looking at way too much, and it's making me feel like I need to catch up with all of it.
Yeah.
Have you guys noticed that we are being fed depression like no tomorrow?
Oh yeah.
Like today's top 100, I can't even listen to it because I like my brain picks it down. Like, for example, what's her name? Tate something. Her music is like so, or like the girl who wrote Driver's License.
Olivia Rodrigo.
Yeah. It's all like, my boyfriend cheated on me. Life is terrible.
Oh, that's rough.
I'm so depressed. And it's just like, I can't listen to this because like my brain is like, you are going to find yourself be reprogrammed into thinking in that sort of state of mind.
Yeah. I mean, I get where you're coming from. I don't think I engage with music like that. Like I guess
like, it depends on who you are.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but I do get what you mean. Like, if you're just listening to that on autopilot all the time, it does make sense that it'd impact your mood and, like, how you view the world. Absolutely.
I don't know. I think I'm somebody that, like, I'm easily influenced in that way. So, like, I was listening to those type of songs, and then I'd find that, like, I'd be sad, and then I'd, like, not pick fights with my boyfriend, but I'd be like, you don't love me. And then he'd be like, where are you coming with this? And I'd just be like... It's just a mood I'm in. You just don't love me.
Like a secondhand breakup through a song.
It's like, you've got girls on your phone, don't you? And he's like, no, I don't. And I'm like, I just feel like you do. And he's like, I don't. And then I'm like, I really sat down with myself and I'm like, where are these emotions coming from? Because he gives me no idea of that. And I was like, okay, I'm easily influenced. Maybe I stop listening to those songs. And then it was like, okay, all right. I'm just picking up other people's emotions. I'm just an empath. I think that's really what it is.
I'm so sorry.
Huge empath.
Yeah, even with music. That's like next level. That's like level 5 empath. Look at you.
I have to listen like up motivational songs and then I'll just ride that.
Just be like Cam and listen to video game soundtracks. No lyrics.
Movie soundtracks,
just like
video game soundtracks.
Yeah.
opera in another language. That's not even a real language.
Some fictional medieval language
Yeah.
from the video game. Yeah, man. I default in that kind of music, instrumental, orchestral, classical music, because it could mean anything. And even if it's sad, it's like there's power in it. I don't know. There's something nice about it.
It's like it's hopeful. It's not like
Because it's beautiful.
yeah. No, I get what you mean.
Like,
yeah, it doesn't. Yeah.
Like somber songs are beautiful. Crying and being depressed is not doesn't look beautiful. You know what I mean? It looks painful. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But I do want to feel whatever that song is because it's fucking gorgeous. It's a weird thing. I don't know what the distinction is, but
Yeah, it's really weird how like instrumental music can make you feel really deeply even though there's like no lyrics. But it can
And even
still-
how it brings back memories.
yeah, even if you've never heard the song before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, it like sparks something in your brain. And you're like,
It's like smells.
like smells are crazy for
Yeah.
that. Oof.
Yeah. No, it's weird because every time because I live here on the weekends and then I'm in Waterloo for school for the rest of the week. And every time I come back, I'm not acclimated to the smell of the house at all. So I like smell it and I'm like brought back like all these memories and
Is
everything.
there a smell here?
There's every house has
Yeah.
like a particular
Yeah.
smell. I get it like when I
Yeah.
go to my parents and I get like all those memories and like that feeling attached to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Like any house that I've had like
I
a lot
definitely
of
remember,
memories
like
in.
Meme's house has
Yeah.
a smell. Yeah.
Yeah, yes it does.
It does.
Yeah, the basement smells like cat piss
And Sagrets.
and cigarettes.
Yeah.
It's so funny how like we don't think it, but like humans, we have our own pheromone and stuff. And it's like it doesn't matter where some people live, they're always like that house like their house is always gonna smell like that. It doesn't it's not always the house, it's like the people's actual
That's so
smell.
weird. That's true though.
Yeah.
Whoa. That's actually a really good point. I never thought of that. Because, like, some kid's backpack would, like, smell like their house. And I'm like, what? But they moved and they still smell the same.
Yeah.
What happened?
It's so funny because like you smell their backpack and you're like, your house smells rich. Like
You guys smell like you can afford some whatever. Yeah.
you got a hot tub, don't you?
Oh, boy.
You have a hot. You have your own bathroom.
Literally.
You can almost smell, too, like, the kind of lunches they prepare. And you're like, oh.
Mom actually made you lunches, doesn't she?
She does.
Mom doesn't buy just the fucking cinnamon rolls that are in those plastic things
Yeah.
or Twinkies.
Yeah.
That's,
yeah.
that's what you do, man. If you have, like, kids who won't shut the fuck up, just give them a half moon, is that what it's called? Joe Louis? Give them a couple Joe Louis and...
They'll shut up.
Yeah.
They'll shut up for you. After the sugar rush, though.
Yeah. Oh boy. I can't, like, it's so weird to me that I grew up like I had this realization when I was 16 that like food is fuel. And it took 16 years to understand that. Like I learned it in class. I know the food pyramid and all that, but you forget that that's the purpose of food. But like we eat the sugary bullshit in the morning, and because that's normal.
'Cause it's so good. No, I will say North American breakfast is like really weird compared to the rest of the world. Like if you look at comparisons of, like in Vietnam, the like breakfast is pho for the most part. It's like soup. Like
Really?
Yeah. Have you ever had pho or pho?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like their breakfast. They like the pho restaurants in Vietnam aren't open past like 1 p.m. because it's all like breakfast or like lunch.
No way.
We
Yeah,
do that
and,
at
like-
Tim Hortons too. People get their soups.
Yeah, there we go. Tim Hortons breakfast soup. I've never had a soup from Tim Hortons, and I don't think I ever will.
I love how big the franchise of Tim Hortons is getting. Like, they have grocery store stuff now. Like, Timbit cereal.
Yeah, Timbit
Oh,
cereal.
that type of
yeah.
shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or
you can get,
like
instant
cans of
coffee.
soup.
True, yeah, the soup, I forgot about
They shat
that.
on
Yeah.
their legacy. They shat on it.
What?
They shat on their
No,
legacy.
I got that. I got the shat. Loud and clear.
all-
Well,
the
okay,
shat.
the company was sold to Burger King, and then it just
Was it
became
really?
yeah. Then it just became this corporate thing where
Yeah.
none of the pastries are baked in store.
Mm-hmm.
They're all frozen, and then you just heat them up,
Yeah.
and then they're selling this bullshit in grocery stores, and it has nothing to do with the hockey player who started a coffee store. Like, I don't know. I feel like I like that Starbucks, like they're pretty much have been the same the whole time. They just fucking sell fancy coffee.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
The only thing
And
that's
then these
changed
tiny
is like
little
their
snacks and
prices
whatever.
going up.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know where it was, but somewhere in India where they're known for like their teas. This guy, like this tutorist, basically went there, and he was like, yeah, I was so excited. There were so many like fancy teas, like it's tea culture. And then there was just a Starbucks just lined around the corner.
That's
And he's
so
like, you could
funny.
get Starbucks anywhere. Yet here you are in the biggest tea industry.
Yeah, and you're gonna get.
And you're going to get Starbucks?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's surprising. But
Yeah.
I believe it.
100%.
I believe
There
it.
is
'Cause y-
something like comforting about the convenience and consistency of like fast food and like those coffee shops and stuff, but it does seem a little crazy. You're in like the tea capital or whatever, and you're getting, first of all, coffee. That's already weird when you're there, but let alone Starbucks of all things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys dream?
Oh, every night.
No, you know I don't.
I had a traumatic dream recently.
I had a weird dream last night.
You can go first. Mine's dark.
I had a dream that I was at my dad's house, and I just went, damn it, I miss my Monster High dolls. And I had this suitcase just full of all my Monster Highs, and it was like a Monster High suitcase.
I don't
And
think I know
had
what that is.
Monster Highs. Basically, it was like a Barbie, but like they put more detail into it.
And it was like
Oh.
haunted stuff, like you could
Yeah.
get like a zombie one or a vampire one, right? Like,
So many different monsters.
yeah. Like a
I'm
werewolf
living in
girl.
a different reality because I've
Yeah.
never even heard of that.
Yeah, it was a little bit after your time, I think, because I never had them either. Well, first of all, my mom wouldn't have let me have those. I wasn't allowed to have Bratz either, because I wasn't allowed to watch Arthur. Yeah, I wasn't allowed to watch Wizards of Waverly Place. Yeah, I think
Interesting.
that- yeah, my dad's a pastor, so I wasn't allowed to like anything witchcrafty. The devil. But they did. They came around. I'm allowed to read Harry Potter as a 21-year-old. So here we are.
Wow. I never understood that because I grew up Catholic and there was no. My dad loved Harry Potter,
Yeah.
Really?
I will say though, like,
but
there's
then
a
again,
difference between like
Catholicism
growing up
is pretty
Catholic
culty.
and then like growing up like casually Catholic. Because I think your
Yeah.
family's very casually religious.
Extremely casual.
Yeah,
Except more
yeah.
recently, like my mother and my aunt have become like very religious.
Yeah,
but-
more devout for sure. Yeah, because like, I don't know, like casual Christian or casual Catholic, like you go on Easter and Christmas and like maybe a couple times a year.
It's like Pablo Escobar.
Exactly.
Like he'll
just like that.
he'll like do the what is that called?
I don't know.
Trinity, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what that's called.
I don't know what
I'm
it's
not
called,
Catholic.
but yeah,
I
they
don't
like
know.
do this hand signal. Yeah, it's just funny.
Hand signal, so you know the other Catholics in the room.
It's
Catholic
just
signaling.
yeah, it's just funny how like just
It
like
doesn't actually.
murderers can be Catholic.
Yeah, no, it doesn't actually impact any of your
Yeah.
any way that you actually live your life, but I think it does still have an impact on like the same thing that we were talking about earlier, like those unanswered questions and like the big ones. You still have like a general trajectory for like how you want to live your life, but
Yeah.
it doesn't impact your day to day. Like you'll still get wasted and like smoke and like maybe cheat on your wife occasionally, but like you like still get like offended if someone says you're not like a Christian, you know? I feel like that's the classic casual Christian or
Well, I
casual
don't believe in
Catholic.
God?
Yeah.
You don't think I believe in God?
No, what was Walk the Line? Yeah, we
Yeah.
were just watching a movie like about
Johnny Cash. It's
Johnny
about
Cash. Yeah, and he like got offended that someone like didn't think he believed in God or something, and it was just so weird.
Well, you don't think I believe in God?
Yeah, like, did you hear what this man said to me? Like, and then now you think about that, and it's like,
That's
what?
so silly.
You get offended if like
You don't
someone
believe in
called you a
God.
Christian, like
Yeah,
rather than the
true.
other way around.
True, we live in a pretty backwards time
Yeah, it's weird,
compared to what it was. Yeah.
especially for the like how short of a time span that is.
A generation and a half,
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty wild.
Anyways, I went on a little tangent there. We were talking about dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so my mind's just been completely melted. Like almost this whole podcast, I'm like, I have an idea, but then I forgot what I was saying. But I do remember the dream thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was sleeping, obviously, and there was this fight between two boxers. And I don't know, I was just watching it. I don't even know if I was a person. It was just from the perspective it was just happening in front of me. And they were in a boxing ring and they were fighting. And like they started throwing punches very robotically. It was very strange. Like they didn't seem real. They were just kind of like doing this or whatever. They were jacked. They were so jacked. It was scary. They were so muscly. Then the one guy, he got punched a couple times in the chest and whatever. And then out of nowhere, he just like hit the one dude in the jaw and his face just flattened and his jaw started hanging out and he was bleeding. And it was like the demeanor of like a boxing, like a fighter would be like, you're just kind of into it. And I don't even watch boxing. I don't know where this is coming from. I don't even watch any of that. But yeah, they're real intense. They're really thinking about it. They're like, you know, trying to be intimidating. And then the guy gets hit in the jaw and his fucking jaw breaks open. And then he loses his shit. He just like starts crying and wailing and he falls on the ground and he's like just in like extreme pain. And it was terrifying to watch. And I don't know where it came from, but like that image is still in my head, like PTSD style, where if I shut my eyes, I kind of still see it. So yeah, that
This
happened
man, like
to me
breaking
recently.
down.
Yeah, just this guy
Physically
just
and
completely just got his face flattened, and it was like, when I dream, it's always terrifying, and it's mostly always violent. There's always some violence.
Interesting.
It is really interesting because like you're the least angry person I know. Like you,
Yeah.
I don't feel like you have like this pent up rage that you're gonna like.
I
punch
don't
a
think
hole
I
in the
have.
wall.
I don't think I have a pent up rage either.
Mm-hmm.
This is where psychotherapy would be good. You know,
Get Freud to analyze.
I
your
would
dreams a
like
bit.
to know what the fuck is going on because it's always violent. It's either,
Yeah.
and a lot of it is like animals, dogs, kind of thing. Like,
Did you watch a lot of violence when you were growing up?
oh yeah, I got traumatized
Yeah.
by just seeing violent scenes in movies way too young.
Yeah.
Like I remember this one particular one. It happened in this room actually, because this used to be my parents' room. There's a TV in the corner or on a dresser or something, I forget. But I walked in. I must have been 6 or 7, and my dad was watching this mafia movie or mafia TV show or something, where these dudes had this guy in the trunk, and they drove to a cornfield, and they let him out. And they all had baseball bats, and they just started beating him to death till like he was just a fucking
Pulp.
yeah, he was just completely red and just like raw. and dead, obviously. And they just kept going. And when you're a kid, you don't know what to look away from. You don't know what to look at. So I'm just like,
You don't know what's bad for you.
I'm taking it all in. I'm like, I'm looking at the screen as if it's like anything else. Because that's kind of like, television like captivates children. They just can't look away.
Yeah.
So I was just looking at it like it was whatever. I felt the fear. I felt literally traumatized, but I was still watching because maybe I just didn't realize that if I looked away, it would be over. Like I don't have to deal with this. Like it was an interesting thing. But that was probably my earliest, where I didn't know what violence was. And I was like, oh, yeah, that was dark.
Yeah.
So what a funny thing is so if you ask your grandparents if they dream in color or in black and white, usually they'll say black and white.
Yeah.
And basically the reason for that is because when they were younger, or not even when they were younger, because some of them didn't even have TV, but for some reason they dream in black and white because the TVs were black and white. Oh. And so our generation, we dream in color, which is like, that's crazy.
It makes you think that,
yeah,
you might be taking in a lot of that information, like more than you think, and it sinks deeper than you think.
So the most weirdest dream I've had recently, and this was like a few months ago, I was just basically playing around like the idea of death in my head, and just like kind of, I wanted to understand that like someday I will die. I don't know, for some reason it was like I couldn't comprehend it. And so I had a dream that I was in, it was kind of like the Twin Towers and the Titanic at the same time. So like I was in like the Twin Towers, or at least that's what my brain tried to tell me I was. And I was in this room, and the man looked like the professor from the Powerpuff Girls. And I was in a room with a bunch of people, and he was basically coaxing us, or not coaxing us, but like walking us through our death. And he was explaining to us that like, yep, we are gonna die. There's no way out of here. What's gonna happen first is that we're gonna feel water at our feet, and then the lights are gonna turn off, and then it's just like that. You're done. And so people were holding each other, and it was like realistic. Like I woke up just kind of not crying, but just like, oh my God. People were holding each other. I was alone by myself, and I was kind of just like holding my legs. And it was like, I felt the panic trying to bubble up. And I just kept having to like, no, there's absolutely nothing I can do about this. And I'd like relax myself, and then I'd want to like bubble up again, and I'd have to relax myself. And so it was such like a skill that I learned while I was sleeping, like of how to like calm down anxiety attack like that.
Fuck, dude.
And then all of a sudden the lights turned off, people started screaming, the water was at our feet, and I literally felt it. It was cold. And all of a sudden I'm in some sort of, well, now I know it was a Tesla, and we're driving by Mr. Sub and like the casino, and we're just soaring. And I'm like sitting in the car, and I'm like, oh my God, wait a minute. I just died a moment ago. And now I'm in this other life driving this really fast car. Is this what happens? You don't even feel your death? You just blip into something else? And I woke up and was just like, yeah.
That's intense. That sounds like a good dream. Or not a good dream, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, like I was auditioning for a play the few days after, and it was like, I felt that anxiety again, and I was like, no, like I just faced death the other night.
Yeah.
Like I can go in front of this, because I just faced death. Like I can do this.
Anything.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
And it wasn't like I didn't feel that anxiety, but I was actually able to like work it back down, talk to myself,
to, like, function outside of it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, I started noticing that my meditation practice carries into my dreams. I still can't notice I'm dreaming. That still doesn't happen. But something will happen, something stressful, something whatever. Like this one time I was drugged, and I just started doing the breathing like I would when I was meditating. And like I didn't freak out, and I wasn't susceptible to whatever drug he drugged me with or whatever. Yeah. So it was cool. It was cool to like I'm being mindful in a dream. Like I'm learning mindfulness so well that I'm like purposely being mindful in a dream, which is cool. Yeah. It's interesting.
Have you guys ever lucid dreamed or dreamt?
Yeah. Yeah, but it always gets like I've flown before, which is fun. You fly around. Done that a bunch of times. But eventually I just lose consciousness again, and then I forget I'm dreaming. Like it just happens. Like it's so... You're just so loopy. It's kind of like when you're blackout drunk. It's just like glitchy and like nothing makes sense. And then you'll forget where the fuck you are. And then you'll be like, oh yeah, I'm dreaming. That's right. And then you'll forget again. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I ever have. I feel like there have been times where I'm like aware that I'm dreaming and I'm able to kind of change it, but I'm definitely not like I'm not a dreamer. Like I don't dream that often. If I do, it's like rarely anything that sticks with me. Like I'll wake up and forget it. Like yeah, so if I have like lucid dreamt, it's never stuck with me. But at the same time, like there are a few times where I can like remember dreaming and knowing that I was dreaming and I was able to change stuff, but I don't remember the details.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what lucid dreaming was until like a year and a half ago. Like when I met you, I found out what lucid dreaming was. I thought that was just, I don't know, you just do that.
What? Okay.
Yeah.
Me, I'll lucid dream, but then I'll be like, okay, like I'm ready to wake up now, and I don't know how to wake up.
That's so
and then I
scary.
start to freak out because it's like I don't know how to wake up. And then I'll something will happen and it'll be like the same dream where like I'll forget I'm dreaming, and then I'm dreaming and I forgot that I was dreaming, but I remember now. Oh my god, I want to wake up. And
That's
it's
so
just
scary.
like things will repeat, or like I'll have
That's
dreams
terrible.
where like I know that I'm sleeping. So for example, one time I wanted to wake up and close the door, and I couldn't wake up. Like I would wake up, close the door, and then I'd wake up and like not actually wake up, but I'd wake up in my dream and I'd be like, oh yeah, I thought I closed the door. And then I'd go and close the door again.
Oh my god.
And
That's a
then
nightmare.
I would wake up again and the door would be open and I'd go and close it. And then
I've done that with piss before, where it's like I just pissed, I have to piss again, and then I just piss like a billion times, and then you piss again, and you're like, my bladder's still full. I need to, and realistically, your body actually is full of piss. You have to wake up and go piss, but in your dream, you're just constantly emptying yourself, but it never works. Thankfully.
yeah, I was like, imagine if you're just like
Yeah.
peeing yourself every time.
That's probably what happens to people.
That's
is
what
like,
happened to
in
me.
a dream.
I peed myself when I was like 13 because in my dream I was peeing. Like I had to go pee in my dream,
Yeah.
and I did. And then I woke up and my poor cousin was in the bed with me. And I woke her up and I'm like, Bronwyn, don't move. I just peed. She's like, are you serious? Like freaked out.
Was it her bed? Whose bed was it?
It was at the cottage, and thankfully there was like a mattress topper, so it was like a sponge. It just like all stayed in the one spot.
Mattress topper, like the plastic thing?
No, it was like a
Oh, it's meant for
like
piss?
a foam. No,
Oh,
it's just
okay.
like a foam top to like make your bed softer.
Oh, okay.
So it like all just stayed in one spot. It was like a sponge. So we were able to just like roll that up and throw that away, and then like clean the mattress, obviously.
That's
but like
funny.
the mattress was dry, and then
Wow.
yeah, that happened to me once. Never again, thank God. But yeah, there's been like a couple times where I like feel like I was about to pee, but I woke up. That's happened before, but I've never gone all the way. Thank God. Again.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't really have to. You wake up like 4 or 5 times in the night to pee sometimes.
I do. I don't sleep well.
No.
Not really.
I wonder if you had like a better bladder, if you'd sleep better. Or if it's because you don't sleep well that you wake up to pee.
I think it's because I dream. Like
Yeah.
that's pretty much why. My mind is just still active. Yeah. That's why I like meditation. It's weird too because like meditation is also simultaneously terrible. Like it hurts. The idea of it hurts. I don't want to sit there. I don't want to go. But yeah, it's so funny like having a part of you that is your saving grace, like that is your salvation, and then another part of you is like, that is hell on earth. I do not want to go there, because your ego doesn't want to stop. Like it's
yeah.
it's a terrifying feeling.
How long do you meditate for?
Lately, it's been like 20 minutes.
Okay.
But I used to do like an hour a day. Depends on the time, what I'm feeling. I'm sure in the fall I'll be back to an hour a day. Summertime I usually slow down a little bit because I like to just live in the summer. In the fall or in the winter, I'm like, I could kill an hour. So yeah. It also depends too. Sometimes I'll do a guided meditation. Like I want somebody to, I just want to listen to their voice and follow what they're saying. Then another time I will just discipline myself to just breathe in and out for 20 minutes. And forget why I'm even here, and then be like, oh yeah, I'm meditating. Okay, breathe.
Now, is the goal to make your mind blank, or just think about all of the thoughts that your brain wants to think about?
Yeah, see, what I've been sort of getting into lately is that there is no goal. Be aware of where that's coming from. What part of you is making this a goal?
True.
That if you could just become aware of that, then you've gotten out of your head, because that's the mind doing the mind's thing. So lately I sit in meditation and I'm like, what part of me is calling this meditation? What does it even matter what I call it? Or
Ground sitting time.
Yeah, well, it's like, it's weird that we've that a lot of people like chunk a moment in their day to
Mindfulness.
like to live life. And then the rest of the day it's like, I'm gonna live in my head. It's a weird idea. Like, why can't we always just live life? And that's what the meditation is. It's a practice so that you can go out about your day actually there and not stuck in your head thinking about something, but like for no reason, you know. So I've heard somebody recently call it good for nothing. Like meditation is good for nothing.
Yeah.
Because you're better off with that attitude than I'm going to meditate to get enlightened, or I'm going to meditate to get somewhere that I'm not here already. So it's good for nothing. And the thing I love about that too is if you could cultivate like an attitude of like, I'm not constantly trying to get what's good and be good and experience the best experience and chase after these things, then you can actually take in what life has to offer, which is like, I mean, I can't put it into words, but yeah, so meditation is good for nothing. There is no goal. And every time I crack my toe, I've noticed.
I know, I'm doing it.
We have the same toe crack.
I noticed that.
That's how I knew I was in love with him.
The toe crack.
That's what really did it.
Yeah.
No, I honestly don't really realize that I'm doing it. I just like hear you
I've
do it and I'm like,
noticed.
I'll do that.
Yeah. He'll do it, and then you do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't realize
I'm
it.
somebody, like, I'm really aware of cracks. For some reason, like, I can't crack my back. So, like, when people crack their back, I'm like, and then it just manifested to any crack. I'm just like,
Dude, all I do is crack.
He's a cracker.
If I walk down the house, I just crack, like my ankles, my toes.
I feel like you're just naturally an old man.
My hip
I just
cracks.
love he'll just get up and pee like four times in the night. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
just naturally an old man.
No, it's funny too, because like we'll play hide and go seek in the dark sometimes with our roommates, and Cam can't like tiptoe because he just cracks. You can like hear him.
Yeah, like usually you can walk through and like fuck with people if you're in the dark and like they're trying to find you.
Not
But
Cam.
no, like they just follow the cracks.
Yeah,
It's hilarious.
that is funny.
You're just like a walking glow stick.
Yeah, an audible glow stick.
Look at
You
you.
could just hear, you know where I am at all times.
Mm-hmm.
I always wonder that, like, am I an old soul or something? Or did I just get over it real fast, like being
The whole young person thing.
Yeah, because I partied hard. I experimented with mushrooms more than I think people should. And yeah, I grew up pretty fast as well. And now I'm just like an old person.
Mm.
I don't know. It's a weird thing. I feel like a young soul. That's the weird thing.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is that I'm a younger sibling. So I was always called like little brother. No matter how old I was little brother. So that's got to have an effect on you.
I'm the youngest as well, and I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm 100% like soul age. I'm older than my parents. I'm older than my siblings, and like 100%, I'm like I was brought to this earth to teach them, like not like oh I'm the savior, but no, but like I'm a balance in like a lot of their lives.
Yeah.
And so it was like without me, they wouldn't have that balance. Like they would just be kind of like everywhere all at once.
You're like their
Interesting.
anchor, which is interesting, like you being the youngest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How are your siblings? Like, have they dealt with like the hand that you were all given in a different way? Like, or
My oldest brother, him and I don't see eye to eye. He's 7 years older than me, and basically in his mind, I'm mom's favorite, and so he completely like cut me out. Yeah, and then my step siblings, my step brother, he's in like the mentality of like the hustle, the grind. I mean, good for him. Like he's 23 and he has his own house now. He's getting married soon. But it's definitely like they don't see my lifestyle, you know, like they don't understand it. And then my stepsister, she's just in the party life. And everybody kind of just assumed I'd be like my sister, because like I did go through like a little bit of a party stage, but it was like a year when I was 16.
yeah.
It was like
You're out
I
of
was
it
in my
pretty fast.
defiant stage. We all did it, but I think they have like the idea that I'm gonna become a failure. And I think that's why I kind of distance myself from them as well,
Yeah.
because like they have like that image of me, and it's like I don't think I'll succeed if I'm constantly in that image of your parents failed, so will you,
Yeah. Yeah. It's not very like motivating.
or yeah, failed.
What a word, failed.
Yeah.
What does success mean to you? Like, how do you know you're successful?
Yeah.
Because that's really what it is. Like, we kind of decide what that means for us.
To be successful, I want. There's some like items that I actually want, but it's like I don't think I'll actually be happy when I have them. Like I'm somebody that like I'm an achiever. Once I get to something, I'm like, wow, that's great. What's the next thing? And I think once my actual success is like, you know what? This is it. This is comfortable. I'm happy here. I've done all my reaching, and now like there's nothing else I want, or I feel like I'm not going to be successful if I don't have it. You know what I mean? Like once I get to that, you know what? This is good.
Yeah.
That's success?
Yeah.
That'd be nice. I don't
Yeah.
think it's possible.
I don't think so either. I think on my deathbed, I think that's where I'll be like, or like that's where I'll, yeah, and really.
So do you carry like the fear of death, or have you like completely
No, I know I'm gonna die young, 100%. Well, not 100%, but I have scoliosis, and so my spine kind of went like that, and so I don't know if you like my ribs basically they go like that. So my spine was basically going for like my organs and stuff, and then it was also twisting. So my whole spine looks super cool because it's just basically screws throughout the whole thing.
Is that like the surgeries that you had when you were growing up? Like
Yeah.
scoliosis stuff? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so
So how long have you known that this is like a danger to your vital organs?
grade 1, basically I was growing weird.
Damn, dude.
Yeah, and I had to wear a brace up until grade 4.
And people
Oh.
told you like that this is dangerous for your body, like this could be
Oh
bad.
yeah.
my
Oh
God.
yeah. My doctor, so I was supposed to be 6 foot. So I have really long legs, really long arms, but a short torso. Like I have the same height of my torso since I've been in grade 4.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god. I will say I've never noticed. Like I've never like looked
I've
in and
also-
been like that's disproportionate.
yeah.
Like,
Everybody, one of
not
my
at all.
roommates, they're like, "You're a daddy long legs," and they're like, "If you were running on your hands and feet, you'd look terrifying." But it's also like they see me every day. They
Yeah,
see
yeah.
like my weird shape. But I wanted to get used to the understanding of like I'm gonna die soon. Well, not soon, but like I think probably like 35, 40 is when like pain's really gonna set in. Because like, how long can your spine not move for? You know, like it's literally strapped in spot. So I think there's gonna be a lot of pain there. And I told my boyfriend, I was like, if we're still together at that point, take me out back. I don't want to feel it. Like,
Yeah.
How does that take away from your present moment, your ability to enjoy the now, or does that linger?
no, because I believe in reincarnation. Like I know that the things I won't be able to do in this life, I'll come back and I'll do in another life. Like a lot of people are afraid of death, but me, I'm just gonna go to sleep and blimp somewhere else.
And a Tesla.
Exactly. Racing
Driving
by
past the
Subway,
casino.
not Subway, Mr. Sub.
I've never heard anybody say that like reincarnation is what like alleviates that fear. Because yeah, I guess I don't have like a fear of death. And it's not that I'm so special. I don't know why I don't. But yeah, I never thought that the real fear of death for a lot of people is that they're afraid of no longer being able to exist like as an individual. Like that terrifies them.
Yeah, I think like the fear of death is more what comes after.
And what
Like
you've
that's-
lost
yeah,
too, right?
yeah.
Like you've lost your ability to be you. Like you're not you anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I love about Ram Dass is he talks about his first ever trip on psilocybin. And he's like, he saw every identity that he thought of himself. So first he sees the professor. And then he sees what his parents see in him. And then he sees what he sees in himself. Or like the lover version of himself, like his romantic side, his happy side. And they all just basically like dissociate from themselves with him. And then he's like, then I got to the point where I was just Richard. And he was like, then that went away. And he was like, well, at least I have my body. And then he looked down and like things started to disappear. And he was like, I didn't even have my body at that point. And it's like, if you don't have your name and you don't have anything else, then what is the actual you?
I think that's why I'm not afraid of death. Because
Exactly.
I've done that exercise in meditation so much. That's like one of my favorite meditations is you just start peeling back the layers. Like, okay, who am I without my things, without this room, without the ability to speak, without my hair, without, whatever. And you just go until you're nothing and you're nowhere. And there's still something. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I think I just have this faith that there's still something. Like, whatever it is I am, I don't remember a beginning. And I don't think there will be an end. And if there is an end, then I'm also cool with that because I'm tired. Like I could use some rest.
And I think that's why, like, when you reincarnate, you don't remember your last life. Because imagine how tiring that would be.
Yeah,
Being
carrying,
like,
all
God
of that,
damn it,
yeah.
I'm here again.
Or just, also just like, carrying the past attachments. It's like, oh, I have fucking 50 lifetimes worth of people that I loved, and it's like, that would be a lot. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny, like, I've been trying to live from the point of view of, like, okay, all this existential shit aside, what is, like, humor? Why, like, have you ever taken mushrooms to the point where you, like, look at existence and it's funny? Yeah, like that. Like, being able to make it past all this, like, heavy, deep shit, and you get to the point where you're like, okay, now I just want to have fun because this is fucking weird and hilarious. Like, all of this is fucking weird. It's very strange. It's nice, like, in this hustle culture, it's nice to be a hippie. Pretty much. because fuck, I probably would not. I probably would drive myself insane if I like went to college and did the thing and networked and shit.
Yeah.
Who do you think you'd be
Networking
if
is
you
a bad
never
word.
touched psychedelics?
What's that?
Who do you think you'd be if you never touched psychedelics?
Yeah, I would be a douche, I think. Seriously, I'd be a douche. It humbled the fuck out of me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you think you're the shit, and then you realize that you're nothing. Like, I can't even imagine ever being on a high horse ever again. You know, where you think like, I notice those thoughts now. Like, if the ego tries to tell me I'm better than someone, I'm like, dog, you poor thing. That's cute. Like, you're not, man. Like, psychedelics put me on my fucking ass. I had some of the best times of my life and some of the worst times. And if you are on a high horse, the higher you are, the harder you fall.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, when you take mushrooms and you're on an ego trip, get ready to get hurt. Like, it's gonna hurt.
I think I would be an anxiety-ridden, just ball of just stress.
Nowhere to go, just all this energy, just...
Yeah, I lived in my room. That's all I did. I liked outside.
With your family? Or...
Even then, like, I mean, when I was on my own, I already took psychedelics.
Yeah.
But, like, when I was living with my mom, just lived in my room. I had interest, like, when I was younger to hang out with people, but then it was just like, you know what? That's too much anxiety, too much stress. People are just going to hurt you. And then I took mushrooms, and it was like, you know what? So what? Like, I'm here. This is my life. Like, I think it gave me more confidence, more social ability to talk to people. Because it was like, I was somebody that, like, I would basically practice or do, like, a little, like, look in the mirror and, like, practice what I'm going to say to people.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
like, I was so afraid to mess up, so afraid to stutter. Because in my mind, I was, like, the only person who ever did that.
Yeah.
Or, like, the only person that, like, said the wrong thing. And then it was like, you know what? Like, get off of that. Like, you're never going to be able to talk to people if you're so afraid to mess up.
Yeah, when you get to the point where you're comfortable being yourself and you're not trying to impress the person, man, like, that right there is what people want to see in a weird way. Like, they don't... I certainly fucking don't. I can tell if someone comes up to me and, like, they're trying to be something that they think I would approve of. I'm like, especially as a vegan, dude. That's all for the first while, all I ever got was like, I would say that I'm vegan, or they'd ask me or whatever, and I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm vegan, and they'd be like, oh, that's great. Yeah, I don't eat a lot of meat. It's like, I don't care what the fuck you do. Like, yeah, they'll try and like score points. Like, oh, I went vegetarian for a little bit there, but I got, I couldn't do it, or whatever. They'll try to justify as if I'm judging them or whatever. Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of people do. Like, they'll be like, oh yeah, I eat meat, and they're like, that's not good for you. You your cholesterol. And so I feel like the people are just like in their head, they're like, please approve of me. Please don't get upset with me.
Yeah,
like,
let's not
don't
get
think
into
I'm a bad person.
Let's not get into the debate. Yeah. That's veganism, just like anything else, has like a shitty fan base.
So what was your...
Pretty much. It's like the Beatles fan base, like, or Rick and Morty fan base.
Oh,
like,
true.
Cringy, but Rick and Morty's amazing. The Beatles are amazing, but their fan base is like cringy and loud, and Sorry, what were you saying?
What was your reasoning for becoming vegan?
At first, it was like I was becoming a new me, so to speak, and I saw it as something that I can do that's good. Don't kill animals, and be a little healthier, eat more vegetables and plants and such. That was it. It was very simple at the beginning, and then it just became just who I am. And then I started to just see through like the cultural lens of like we protect and worship our pets, but we, you know, cage and slaughter certain animals that are okay to cage and slaughter. You know? It's like, okay, who came up with that? And then there's like, let's save the whales. Fuck marine land, but let's go to McDonald's. You know what I mean? Like, people are just so inconsistent with the way they treat their the way they treat animals. They'll be an activist for zoos, like fuck the zoos, they're abusive, but then they'll go and, you know. And I'm not saying killing animals for food is bad. It's the process that it's mass produced. Like, I'm pretty sure upwards of 95% of all meat in North America is produced that way. So unless you get the 5% that is like ethical, or at least close to that, not in a fucking, you know, cage or a cubicle or something, then you're contributing to that, you know, just a horrible system. So, yeah, and I'm also not one of those vegans who thinks that like it's my way is like the right way. I still don't know. I just feel that it's right for me. And if anybody was to ask, I would tell them how I feel. But I'm not. Another thing is that when you live in a world where you're like the 2%, you have to just let it go. Because you'll drive yourself nuts. I live in a meat-eating world. And hey, I fucking eat plants. I don't know how many animals and insects and whatever is involved in, you know, I kill the plant to eat the plant. Who fucking knows? Life eats life. That's just how it is. But yeah, when you're in a society where like all the meat comes from that barbaric system, you're like, fuck, I'm just not going to think about it, because it's just like, it's heavy. It's like thinking about human trafficking. Like, that's happening right now. That's heavy. It's like, you got to let go of it.
Your dad texted me.
Oh, yeah.
Said, hey, tell Cameron to come eat. We got food for everybody. I told you there was going to be food. I bet he got sushi.
So funny.
We're watching hockey with his family today.
Yeah, like a Father's Day thing.
Oh, nice.
The hockey game's tonight, so we're gonna watch sports.
Gonna watch some hockey.
Is today Father's Day or tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
I thought it was last week, so.
But the game's tonight, is what I was thinking.
Okay. No, I was just trying to think of what day I'm supposed to go see my dad, and I'm like, if it's tonight, damn. My dad will be in like his basement crying, being like, she doesn't love me.
This was good though. We'll have to do it again. I'll definitely come to your podcast as well.
Oh yeah.
You have one too? Nice.
It's still in the making. So I did my first episode, and it was like Gabe's mic did not record.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like, so I have two different podcasts. One's High Tea, and then the other one is your Thursday Night Podcast. And like your Thursday Night Podcast is like, if they want to drink, we'll drink together. If they want to get high, we'll get high together. And Gabe and I were a bottle of wine down and a few coolers. And by the time I realized it wasn't recording, I was like, yeah, we're not restarting.
It's over.
Yeah.
It's over. You had a good time though.
Yeah.
That's so
Jeez.
funny. Look at her.
Well, it's been good. This is episode 7, I believe. Hopefully we have many more to come. That'll be good. Anytime. Literally anytime. We'll do this. I want an excuse to sit down and talk for a couple hours. So
Talk about like fun, deep stuff. That's what I love.
yeah, shit got dark in this one, but like, it happens, bro. This life, yin and
I think
yang.
we can say that today was deep and meaningful today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Deep, dark, and meaningful.
Deep, dark,
I'm gonna
and
change the name of it. Okay. Goodbye.